Right now, I'm ready to be the Speaker of Parliament. I pity those who were not ready when they took that office. Now they are doing what is called okwekasa. Because if you are not ready for something, you have to keep justifying every mistake. And you can even see by the kind of decisions made from the chair. I don't have to go into details because I'll appear to be too critical. That seat does not just need a lawyer, it needs somebody who is an advocate. A lawyer is somebody who has studied law. An advocate is somebody who knows how to apply the law. That's the difference. I also understand the Bible, I understand scripture, but I'm not a priest. Because I don't have that ordination. An advocate is someone who is ordained to practice the law. In other words, you know how to apply it. And that is what the office of Speaker now needs. Not just somebody who knows the law. Because I hear people say, oh, they are lawyers, they are lawyers. Yes, they are lawyers. They know the law. But they don't know how to apply it. And that's why we have all these blunders. So that is a major, major problem we have to deal with. Is that really how Africans used to sit when they are debating important issues? That you have one side this way and one side that way? Is that really how you sit when you have a clan meeting? But somehow we adopted that. Then we say one side is opposition, and we even have a leader of opposition. Then we have one side which is supposed to be government. I don't remember us sitting like that in the village. When we were in the village, we used to sit in a circle. Because our role was to attack the problem, not to attack each other. So apart from resolving the national question, which is finding the proper glue to weld us together, we have the challenge of decolonization. So when you are talking about leadership, you must first of all elect leaders who understand the problem. Because if you don't understand the problem, how can you even pretend that you want to solve it? And there are people who think there's no problem in the parliament the way it is. But there is hope. Because Ugandans have woken up. For the first time, the hawkers, the women selling fruits and vegetables on the streets of Kampala, the border riders are now discussing the question of who is fit to be the Speaker of Parliament. They even want to vote. The good thing is that they will have an opportunity to punish the members of Parliament who will not vote correctly when we are electing the Speaker. So any member of Parliament who ignores the voices of the people right now will be punished in 2031. And that punishment will be sure. And we will be there to remind the voters that these are the people who betrayed you. We are at a very delicate time in Uganda, and we need a serious speaker. We don't need a speaker who just wants to make money. We want a speaker who wants to make a difference. We don't want a speaker who just wants to make money. We want a speaker who wants to make a difference.
Hey, Mao,
I've seen some people going around saying Mao joined the cabinet in order to improve his financial situation, that he was about to die of poverty. I grew up in poverty. It didn't kill me. If poverty did not kill me when I was in the village, will it kill me when now I have Bachelor of Laws, Master of Arts, and a Master of Dispute Resolution, Diploma, Postgraduate in Legal Practice, Advocate for over 30 years? Will poverty kill me with all those qualifications?
Of course not.
Yes, even that one. So, I think we should not reduce the debate about important questions to simple things. I was offered the job of minister in June 2021. Can a hungry person wait for 1 year to be paid his first salary as a minister? And you know it is not a small salary. So I want to warn those who are talking like that. I'm going to hang their record on MTN masts for the whole country to see. So I want to warn those who are talking like that. I'm going to hang their record on MTN masts for the whole country to see. Because it seems anybody who's attacking me stupidly, I'm going to get their full record and hang it on Kololo Hill. I will hang their records on Summit View indeed, so that everybody can know who they really are. I have my record. Starting from being a head prefect. In fact, starting from being an S2 student who by mistake in Wairaka College went to attend a senior debating society general meeting. So I want to warn those who are talking like that. I'm going to hang their record on MTN masts for the whole country to see. Because it seems anybody who's attacking me stupidly, I'm going to get their full record and hang it on Kololo Hill. I will hang their records on Summit View indeed, so that everybody can know who they really are. I have my record. Starting from being a head prefect. In fact, starting from being an S2 student who by mistake in Wairaka College went to attend a senior debating society general meeting. I used to get calls from Joseph Kony, the rebel leader. Some of you remember that I was even a suspect of being a rebel. But I wasn't the one calling him, he was the one calling me. And each time he would call me, I would go and brief the president. I would call the switchboard because I knew they were listening to my phone anyway. At one point, they suspected that I was a rebel. The military intelligence people sent somebody to trail me. I was doing some work at the Sheraton Business Center. When I went to the bathroom to ease myself, I found my flash disk missing. They got the contents and leaked it to the red paper. And the headline was, Gulu District Boss Norbert Mao in trouble over rebel links. So who knew that I had rebel links? And they reproduced some information that I had on some people who wanted to start a new rebel group. But the head of the military intelligence was my classmate, so I called him, General Mujira. He just laughed and he gave me an appointment. When I went to his office, he opened his drawer and gave me back my flash disk. But they knew I was committed to peace. When other people were fearing to go to the bushes of Garamba to meet Joseph Kony, I dared. When we went to have a meeting with him, he invited 10 of us to go to the bush. We walked 16 miles to go and see him. Some of my close friends, when I approached them and told them, will you join me for that journey? They told me, I just wanted a photo with Kony. I've already got it. Now I can't go to the bush myself. Some of us dared and went. Later, I went back for a longer time, over 2 weeks. And then I jumped into the battle so that our generation, born in the 60s and 70s, could take charge of the Democratic Party.